Hello viewers, it's been a while since I've done a tech news roundup, so here we go, let's dive in. Firstly, how much tech do we want on our bikes? We've got electronic gears, we've got GPS, power meters and much more. And for many people I know it's all too much, but how about adding a tyre pressure sensor to that list like you have in cars? Is this perhaps the next tech frontier in the bike world? Well, if the £125,000 raised by a company on Kickstarter is anything to go by, then maybe it is. This is billed as a low-cost, real-time tyre pressure sensor that fits inside a tyre and wheel and relays live data to your Garmin computer. Now, tyre pressure sensors aren't a new thing. SRAM with Tyre Whiz has been making them for several years, but it failed to catch on, probably because the Tyre Whiz is quite expensive. Now, the Outrider, compared to that, is cheaper at a suggested retail price when it hits the stores of about $80 for a pair. The battery life is also better, as I claim 2 years, and compatible with your current valves. So it should be easy to install compared to this one here, and doesn't look quite as obvious that you have this on your bike. So it sounds good, but do you really want or need live tyre pressure data? I can see a scenario where before a ride, when you turn your Garmin on, you calibrate your power meter and check your heart rate is connected, you can quickly check your tyre pressures are perfect without getting a tyre pressure gauge or your pump out. Now personally, I always check the tyre pressures before every single ride to make sure they are at the ideal pressure, rather than take for granted the tyres are at the same pressure when I last checked them. So that is one use case scenario I can see technology being useful. The other use as well is to alert you to a slow puncture when you're out riding and give you notice ahead of time. But that does seem a solution to a problem I've never really personally had when I've been riding. You know when you get a puncture, if it's a fast puncture, you know straight away. If it's a slow puncture, you get that sort of soft tyre feel. I guess in that slow puncture scenario, the pressure gauge could be useful to alert you with a sort of alarm or flashing icon on your computer to let you know that your tyre is losing air and you might want to stop and inflate it or deal with the puncture before it gets really flat. Anyway, loads of questions to answer for sure, so I pledge $55 of my own money to hopefully get a set when they are available in January. I'm going to find out for myself if they are a useful bit of tech, a game changer, or just a load of expensive nonsense you don't really need on a bike. Let me know what you think by dropping a comment down below. Many new bikes, especially race bikes, are sold with one-piece carbon fiber handlebars these days. They have their pros and cons. In the pros, they look sleek, they're aerodynamic, internal routing, all very nice. But on the downside, a big downside is often you can't choose the size you want, the stem length and handlebar width. So how about a personalised 3D printed handlebar to solve the issue?
A little British company called Metron, run by one of the guys that was a key figure in the British cycling track development, has produced the new Mythos 3D printed titanium bars, which are full custom. This means that if we need to get a custom cockpit made for a particular bike, we can spec every parameter: width, flare, drop, stem length, angle of stem, and even which integration system underneath, whether it's the Chris King standard or one of the other myriad versions that you can get on different bikes. That's meant that it's a bit of a game changer in terms of getting your perfect position on expensive bikes if the standard off-the-shelf cockpit is not available in your size.
Do you think with the popularity of one-piece handlebars that a custom handlebar is sort of the next step in terms of bike design development and for bike fitting as well?
Yeah, I mean, you know, as we've moved away from being able to have custom geometry on our carbon frames because of the increasing cost of moulds, the cockpit is the one contact point that historically we've been able to alter and now increasingly can't. So I think in terms of adjusting this area, that's always going to be the cheaper option than trying to get a custom made carbon frame set that's out of moulds.
And I guess it's not cheaper, is it?
No, I mean the pricing of this sort of thing, you know, when it's brand new and it's the first on the market, there's always going to be a higher cost. But as development continues, that price will start to drop. So it's not something to put on a £3 bike, but if you're buying things like tarmacs and Pinarellos and you can't get exactly the right size that you need, this might be a really good option for you.
So it looks pretty cool. Hopefully I can try one in the future, but it's not cheap at £1,500. But for comparison, an MV one-piece carbon handlebar and stem is £1,300, and that isn't personalised to the length, stem and handlebar width you want. But I don't know about you, but when did handlebars become so expensive? They used to be really cheap in the old days, but now they're over £1,000, which is pretty damn crazy. I love a bit of shiny bike tech, so how about this for some ultra amazing bling? I've not really done the whole oversized pulley wheel thing myself, but damn, this looks so cool. I think I could be persuaded. I don't really care how many watts it might save or what marginal gains it might offer you, but as a bit of carbon bling, a bit of carbon decoration for your bike, yeah, I love it. So the Italian company behind it says it's a semi-aero concept to match the low friction specification with mid-aero skills, which I guess means you have the watts you save from the oversized pulley wheels, the claimed watts you save from those big oversized pulley wheels compared to a standard setup with ceramic bearings as well, of course, with the aerodynamics potentially of that carbon fiber cage design. And I think Ceramic Speed also now offer an aero cage as well, and I saw one at Eurobike from another company as well. So it looks like aerodynamics are now coming to the rear derailleur, as well as the savings in terms of efficiency from the oversized pulley wheels of the last few years. It is handmade from carbon fiber with 4 anodizing colors for the oversized jockey wheels, which spin naturally on ceramic bearings. And the price, well, nearly €400, which is the price of a rear derailleur on its own. Form an orderly queue if you want one. Next up, these brand new shoes from Fizik have just arrived for testing, the Tempo Beat. A very funky shoe indeed that blurs the line between road and off-road in one fairly stylish, perhaps, package. The company calls them a versatile casual road cycling shoe with the convenience of an SPD 2-bolt cleat setup. So road style and looks on the top with a nice upper material and laces as well, which I do love. And then underneath, the convenience of a mountain bike SPD sole setup, but none of the aggressive chunky tread pattern you get from a mountain bike or gravel shoe. And there are many good reasons to use an SPD pedal over a road pedal on a drop bar bike. Double-sided, so easy to clip in, and when you're commuting, traffic lights, that makes a lot of sense. And also that recessed cleat compared to a 3-bolt cleat, which is exposed compared to the shoe, makes walking much easier, whether across the office after a commute or across a cafe for a flat white during your ride. So yeah, more practical, easy to walk, safer for walking, but it still looks like a road shoe on top, which is not often a combination you get. Normally, if you want an SPD pedal on a drop bar bike, you have to buy a mountain bike shoe. And I often ride SPD pedals in the winter because I ride a gravel bike a lot more in the winter, and I can see these being ideal for that sort of person who wants the convenience of an SPD pedal, but doesn't want to look like they're riding a mountain bike and has that sort of sleek appearance of a road shoe, and white, because I like white road shoes. So it looks like a racing shoe, but has more comfort than a racing shoe, a bit flexier in the sole, more volume in the toe box compared to Fizik's normal shoes as well. But that ability to use an SPD mountain bike pedal. And don't worry if white isn't your thing, they do come in a far more sensible black or green as well. So stay tuned for a full review very soon, and they are available now, priced at €180. And now for a lovely looking bike from Stinner Frameworks, who are based in California. The company has been making custom bespoke steel and titanium frames for the last 10 years or so, but this is a brand new stock production offering. So you can choose one of the models from their range in 6 sizes with 2 paint schemes and complete builds offered as well. So if you don't want or need a fully bespoke frame in terms of geometry, and don't want to wait as well because it takes quite a while to build a bespoke frame, this is an off-the-shelf option Still available in a reasonable level of sizes and some customization in terms of paint finish, but a nice stock build. And this is a reasonably common move for small bespoke frame builders when they reach a certain level of size and popularity, to kind of distill the essence of their offering, their brand values into a stock build to make it more accessible to more people, whether because you don't need a bespoke custom geo frame, or you just want that sort of off-the-shelf offering. You don't want custom geo, you know what size you need, and you want a nice complete build, don't want to build a bike yourself. So the first model in this new lineup is the Carrizo, I think that's how you say it. It's a wide-tired all-road bike, spaced with 40mm wide tires and made from lovely Columbus Zona tubing. And it will set you back $1,700 for the frame set, or nearly $4,000 for a complete build using a SRAM Apex wire group set. That space with 40mm wide tyres puts it in the endurance all-road category, along with a Giant Defy, the Specialized Roubaix and a Trek Domani, with a performance geometry, and it's future-proofed with a UDH dropout. Available now, I'll put a link to their website down below. Now, French brand Lapierre has updated its endurance road bike, the Pulsium. Now, firstly, I'm not really sure how popular Lapierre are these days. Let me know by dropping a comment down below. They don't have a world tour team anymore, which seems to be essential for bigger bike brands in the world. And their availability in the UK is patchy at best. And I haven't ridden one in many years. I've ridden a few in the past and been to a launch or two. But yeah, not really sure. Don't really have much sense of how popular or how much demand there is for a Lapierre bike right now. But let's dive into details of the brand new endurance road bike. So the Pulsium is claimed to be lighter, more aero, but most importantly for an endurance road bike, smoother and more comfortable than before. In the past, they've used an elastomer in the rear stays, but that's gone, presumably to save weight, and they now have a design that mimics the famous iconic GT triple triangle, in that the seat stays go around the seat tube, not attached to the seat tube, and then go to the top tube, and that, in combination with the shape of the rear stays, is designed to give the rear wheel that ability to move up and down over bumps and cracks in the road. For the geometry, they've increased the reach and lowered the stack, which is something Giant did with their Defy. And like the Defy, the new Lapierre space with 38mm wide tyres, and it has mudguard or fender mounts as well. So an interesting new bike in the endurance category, which is definitely in a really interesting place right now, especially with the trend towards bigger tyres. And while race bikes do take wider tyres than before, they still max out to about 32, although the MV Melee is an outlier in taking 35s. But if you want a 35, 36, 40mm wide tyre like that new Pirelli 40mm wide tyre, then you need an endurance bike or an all-road bike if you prefer. And there are some good options in the world right now. You see my roundup of the best endurance road bikes by clicking that pop-up banner up there. And lastly, Mason Cycles has launched a cool new hardtail mountain bike that looks ideal for gravel and bikepacking trips. And I can totally see a mountain bike with drop bars or flat handlebars being ridden much more in the future, because tyres are getting wider and many gravel bikes don't take the wide tyres that people want to run. And there's a small trend in the US especially for fitting mountain bike wheels and tyres to drop bar gravel bikes and finding clearance issues. So the natural obvious evolution is a mountain bike, and this aluminium frame has clearance for a 29 by 2.4 inch tyre, so massive, and you can fit either a rigid carbon fork or a 100 to 120mm suspension fork, and designed to be run with either a drop handlebar or a flat handlebar if you prefer. So a versatile option to fit the tyres, suspension you want or need for the riding, the event, the ultra distance event you're doing. And with that small trend for fitting drop handlebar to mountain bikes, which we've seen in the US, this fits that bill nicely. It also has more eyelets around the frame than a typical mountain bike as well, so better for endurance, racing and riding, for fitting bags and bottles and racks, with 28 bosses in total scattered across the frame. So very impressive design, very much for adventure riding and adventure racing, where you want the bigger tyres, the bigger volume tyres and a gravel bike takes that mountain bike geometry and the option to fit a suspension fork as well. So a highly versatile highly capable bike. If your gravel bike is holding you back, but you don't want a typical mountain bike, then this could be an interesting option. Anyway, that's my roundup of the most interesting techniques I've seen in the last few days. Got any comments? Put them down below in the comment section, and of course don't forget to subscribe for more videos like this on a regular basis, and I'll see you all again very soon. Thank you so much for watching.